Colour is a perfect example of a trade-off. Something I've been talking a lot to my patients about and to the dentists on the courses about recently is trade-offs. And this is a thing that is really important to understand from a dentist perspective, but from a patient's perspective too. When we're working with a smile, we have an existing situation, then we have a patient's expectation of what they want to have in the end. Then we have the dentist's expectation of what they want. And then we have the reality of what actually can be done. The reality must always try to match the patient's expectations, or the patient's expectations need to be adjusted to match reality. The dentist's expectations must also be in line with reality. One of the things that we need to use in order to achieve this harmony of all these expectations is actually understanding trade-offs. And what I mean by that is, let's use the example of colour. Colour in veneers or in dentistry is not just like going to pick a paint colour, okay? It's about so many different things that are to do with light. How light passes through the material. Is it very translucent? Is it very opaque? Why is it opaque? Is it opaque because there's too much thickness or more thickness? Is it more translucent because there's less thickness of a veneer? Is it opaque because the tooth behind the veneer is dark, so we need to try to hide that? But our patient's expectation is of a lot of translucency. So how do we adjust that to get it right? Colour is a perfect example of a trade-off, because we might have to explain to our patients, and we might have to say, I understand what we're looking for is a lot more translucency, but we have a situation where the tooth or teeth behind are at a colour that is extremely dark. So in order to provide you with the translucency, but to not provide you with show through of the dark tooth, we might have to adjust thickness of the material, which could involve further adjustment to the natural tooth and therefore compromising possibly strength of a restoration or a veneer. Or we use something more opaque, which is going to give a different look to a translucent material. So we could have two veneers that are exactly the same colour that could look totally different to each other in two different mouths, or let alone two different teeth in the same mouth. So it's extremely important we discuss what is our most important goal when we look at a trade-off. So we say, is it that we want more translucency, or is it that we want a thinner restoration or thicker restoration, or versus whiter or less opaque? What is more important to getting the patient to the result that they're after, or that is going to look the most harmonious with their face? And sometimes it's choosing one or the other because both are just physically not possible. It can be frustrating for a patient to hear that they can't have everything, but it's important to have the discussion so that the expectations all start to harmonize with reality. If we talk about colour, when patients will ask for a colour that is, they say, no one ever wants yellow teeth. No one comes in and says, I want yellow teeth. They say, I want white teeth, but I want them to look real. What that means to me is that we need to develop translucency, we need to develop effects. So we need to be choosing a whiteness that is not so white or so opaque that it's going to block out those natural aspects. And that is something that comes with experience, working with the ceramist, working with patients, working with the same process, repeating it again and again and again, and understanding these trade-offs. The more we understand them, the more realistic we can all hold our expectations, and the happier the patient and the dentist and the ceramist will be with the final result.